About 3 years ago, I decided to start learning Spanish, and it made me quit medical school. I'm kind of exaggerating, but not really. It would be more accurate to say that deciding to learn Spanish made me realize that I was so unhappy that I needed to quit medical school. And I don't mean to be dramatic, of course, but it genuinely was a major factor in me deciding to leave. I mean, it made me realize that I was unhappy. And to be clear, I never set foot into medical school, but I did spend way too many hours studying. I sacrificed my social life, worked as an EMT, I sacrificed my sleep. I had a few research jobs all at the same time to boost my application. And eventually, all of that hard work paid off. And I got the golden ticket, the coveted med school acceptance letter. And when it arrived, I responded, nah. Okay, and how did I get into a situation where I spent 6 years of my life working towards a goal, and then when I finally achieved it, I decided that it wasn't for me. Truth was, it probably wasn't for me the entire time. But I think all this started with family culture, because in my family, it always felt like travel was a luxury, but not like luxury in the normal sense where you should do it sometimes, like in moderation. For my family, it felt more like travel was something you should just never do because it served no purpose or it had no utility. It was a waste of time and a waste of money, and it caused too many problems. And this makes perfect sense considering that my family's travel experience, for the most part, basically comprised of fleeing Vietnam after the Vietnam War, if you can even call that travel. And couple that with the fact that we weren't terribly affluent, this makes perfect sense. So no hard feelings there, but upbringing runs deep. So when I grew up and my family actually became more affluent, I still held on to those beliefs about travel and cultural exploration and learning languages. So I did what I was supposed to do, and I worked hard and I studied hard, and I completely ignored the signs that I was kind of going down the wrong path, and I ignored any opportunities to learn languages or explore culture or anything like that, until the time came for me to actually apply to medical school, which left me with a gap year. Okay, now being a try-hard workaholic at the time, I felt the need to absolutely maximize my gap year. So I took to Reddit, and one of the suggestions really stood out to me. It was to learn a language, and this made a lot of sense because it was the last time I would ever have time to learn a language or do anything like that. And on top of that, it would help me treat patients better. I could treat patients that didn't speak English. So essentially this meant that learning a language had some utility to it now. So little did I know what I was getting into. And it was an easy choice for me because I had just gotten back from a trip to Spain, which I had basically had to be begged to go on it because of, you know, my weird ideas about travel and whatnot. But anyway, that's why I was on Duolingo. And so I rolled with it, and dare I say it, but I loved it. And my brain was buzzing for like the first time in a long time. Learning new grammar structures and words was really stimulating for me, but the real kicker was going deeper and deeper into the language and getting more and more exposed to various Spanish-speaking cultures. That's what really got me. It was basically like I had unlocked a third of the world that I was just previously kind of blind to, and I had unlocked it in like a a less superficial way, kind of. Like I could understand it a little bit more deeply than just understanding it through, you know, my native language. I was hooked and I wanted to learn more and more, but I was met with the devastating realization that if I had continued down this path to medical school that I, of course, as you know, didn't genuinely want to be on, I wouldn't have the time to commit more and more of myself to exploring cultures and languages and whatnot. I wanted to go as much in on it as possible. I tried to bargain and kind of only look into medical schools that offered medical Spanish programs or study abroad programs, but that would still be a bad reason to go to medical school. That would be silly. And I knew that I couldn't go half in on a career that required 100% of you. Like, especially if I wasn't that passionate about it to begin with. So, shout out to the people who are 100% passionate about medicine. I'm glad that you're out there, but I had to come to accept that I was not one of you, and I was pretty unhappy pretending to be one of them. Now, once I had something in front of me that I did have genuine interest in, and dare I say passion in, I can no longer deny that I was unhappy. And so when I got the coveted acceptance letter, I knew what I had to do. I turned it down. So why am I telling you this? To be honest, I don't know exactly, but I figured I would tell you, well, just in case you're kind of like me and you're used to ignoring obvious signs that you're on the wrong path. And I get that even though my story may not look exactly like yours, it might serve as a good example to help you realize that maybe you don't want to do what you are doing. And I think it's important to not regret the time that you spend on the wrong path, because it actually led me to doing something that I enjoy more. So I'm quite thankful for that. And my pathway hasn't been terribly direct right now. And the whole thing in total has taught me to, at the very least, be curious about what I'm doing and where I'm going, as opposed to being locked in and rigid and nervous and scared of making changes that I know that will be beneficial for me in the long run.